Hello and welcome to MBKM Models. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe and follow for more model build videos and aircraft documentaries. Now, I've been very busy the last couple of days. I was away overnight picking up bits for the models, etc. A couple of motorbike bits as well. And good. I picked up the 5-minute epoxy that I ordered some time ago. I mean, I use one of these click and collect places, and I order a lot of stuff off Amazon, eBay, AliExpress, a lot of electrical parts off AliExpress, and sometimes forget what I've ordered. So I got over there and I got a load of S1 LiPo batteries. Some, like I said, the 5-minute epoxy, something from a motorbike, and various other things. While I was over there, let me just say this first. I've noticed that on my analytics, I've got a lot of people from the United States watching. So a big hello and warm welcome to you all. It's really great to have you. So like I said, I dropped into, I've got a local hobby store here in my city, but in Cardiff, which is in a country called Wales, which is within the United Kingdom, I went into their hobby store, which is the same, people, all right? So it's a sort of corporate thing, and it was great. I mean, I picked up some 30-second sheet strip balsa for the wings on the Envoy and some steel rod. It's 1mm. I always think of it in standard wire gauge, but obviously the world's changed. But I picked up a pack of 1mm steel wire, which is something you cannot be without when you convert in anything, because you need it for all your control rods, etc. I like to use wire. Some people out there have got like a balsa wood dowel in between the servo and maybe the rudder, but I personally I'd rather use wire. Alright, so I picked up a pack of that, not for much money, and like I said, the strip balsa, which I'm going to show you in a minute because I've been laying up the strip this morning on the center spar on the wings. It's just really cosmetic to tidy it up. All right, large scale balsa, you're going to get peaks and troughs, dips and valleys, and raises and all sorts. So this is a very much a cosmetic run with this, just to tidy it up, and I'll take that over in a minute. Now, I went to local DIY, do it yourself, a while ago. If you're in the UK, this was B&Q. All right, and I picked myself up. I've been looking at one for quite a long time. I picked up a gas soldering iron. Yeah, it's a gas blow torch. I kept calling it a blow lamp, but it's a very old word, that. I mean, my dad had one, and it was the old Primus one, and you had to do this, pump this sort of thing on it, and then it would burn like unbelievable burning force on it. But I kept calling it a blow lamp, and all these younger staff they had, even the woman my age, didn't know what I was talking about. So we didn't change that to blow torch, and I found it. But buying a blow torch is a little bit overkill, because I bought the steel wire because I want to make another one of these. In America, you call it custom. In the UK, we call it scratch built. So custom scratch built RC undercarriage. All right. I bought myself a Fly Sky 6-channel radio control. So the channels are there to do this. All right. And it quite interested me. I saw on one YouTube video where a guy called, I can't remember his name now, he makes custom retracts, all right, and he makes a very good job of it, all right, so I thought I'd have a go myself. So there's custom retracts on the Envoy. I could actually, if I was building the Envoy again, do them a lot better, but that's the way it goes. And the next model that I'm converting, I've got, hopefully it will come better, all right, because trying to understand that straight off and you've never done it before, it's not the easiest thing in the world. But once you do it once, and you come away from it for a little bit, you start to get ideas and you start to notice how it's done. And the great thing about YouTube is you can take the video back and back again and back again. All right, so let me just show you this little gas blowtorch that I bought. Here it is, and it's made by some people called Go System. All right, it'll probably come round there. Let's have a look. Yeah, let's have a look. Can you see that? Hang on. Can you see that? Okay, it's a bit in the light. Go System. All right. What you do is you light your. This is lighter for the gas. There we go. And there it is. Look. All right. Okay. Wonderful. And it's got a little thing to vary the flame. All right. Okay. And then I'll turn it off. It fills up with lighter gas or the camping gas, like cartridge things. All right, you can fill it up with that. That's at your own risk. All right, don't quote me on that. Please don't come back to me. Say I fill it up and then go right. That's only me suggesting. All right, okay. So you find out the right one to fill it up with, and you do it. All right, but here's the soldering iron that comes with it. All right, I won't strip it down and put it back together. I had to actually nowadays they don't give you the full instructions, do they? Do you know what I mean? They don't give you the full instructions, and you've actually got to go online to find them. But I found it, and it sits on there. It screws on. It's got like a like a screw thread, and then you take that out and change it around, and then the gas comes out the sides, and then it heats it all up. All right, but nonetheless, I mean, what I wanted this for was not necessarily soldering. It was for it's for bending wire. All right, yeah, bending wire, because with this it means I can heat the wire up. All right, past cherry red to yellow, and I can build very, very small angles, all right, on small bits of wire, and this will enable me to do it. All right, so yeah, it's cool. All right, I like it. I haven't used it yet. All right, I'll let you all know what it's like when I've used it. All right, I don't have the jigs here, which you do. I mean, I used to be an aircraft fitter. I started at Rolls-Royce when I was 16 years old. I was only just 16. I left school at 15. My birthday was in the holidays, so I was out at 15. And I started at Rolls-Royce 16, a couple of weeks old, all right? And I did the full old-fashioned apprenticeship until I was 20. And at Rolls-Royce, I then stayed there for a further 2 years. So at Rolls-Royce, I worked on aero engines. I worked on Pegasus for Harrier jump jets, Olympus Industrials, and RB199 for Tornadoes. Okay, so more than likely, some of those GR1s that were in Gulf War One, I would have worked on the engine parts. Okay, I then left. I did a few things, and then I returned to aircraft plastics, where I worked on Tornado drop tanks, which are the large composite fuel tanks that sit under the wing. So I did a bit with aircraft plastics, but I had an inspection job in that factory, where I would test the tanks. I would test aircraft drop tanks. Okay. What happens is they give the aircraft a longer range, and then when the fuel's spent, they jettison them. All right. Simple as that. From there, I went to British Aerospace, where I worked on A320 wings leading edge. I did that for a year, and then what happened then? I was transferred onto VC10s, okay, Vickers VC10s. VC10, very interesting aircraft. They were built for hot air, high altitude, short runways. Okay, I would say it was built when Britain still owned Hong Kong. The Vickers VC10 was built for the Hong Kong run. All right, so it was great big wingspan, and it could take off very easily from a short runway in a high altitude with hot air. All right, great aircraft. I mean, they came in from British Airways when I worked there, and I worked on all sorts of things. I did survey, I worked in wing tanks, I was a tank rat for a while, and then my last section I was on there was mains, undercarriage hydraulics. All right, and sadly, as I was doing that, the Cold War had ended and the wall came down, and Western governments, us and the Americans and everybody else, started offloading government contracts. Things were changing. I mean, I read one thing as the whole of Southern California aircraft workers, you go to places, it'd be just deserted houses with milk bottles left washed out on the doorstep, the people gone because the work had ended. Well, that happened to me here in the UK. All right, but I now I mean I'm making model aircraft. I tend to make the model aircraft a bit like you'd make a real aircraft. All right, I am a model maker. I made models before I was an apprentice, and then had quite a long gap where I didn't make them from about 13 to about late 20s because I was doing Army Reserve and all that sort of thing, social life, etc. And I returned about 28, but nowadays I build models and I do an aircraft documentary every day. I've done the F-18E today, Super Hornet. All right, I was looking at the Blue Angels. I did the Battle of Britain Memorial flight a few days ago, and now I'm doing the Blue Angels. All right, so they have they had the McDonnell Douglas Hornet, I think, for years, and then McDonnell Douglas merged with Boeing, and they've now got this Super Hornet. All right, U.S. Navy aviation is quite something. All right, I've always been impressed by it. Very impressive. They've been at naval aviation as long as we have been in the UK, and the US Navy is very impressive organisation. All right, the equipment they have, the standard of discipline, and also it's a very impressive organisation. So big up to the US Navy. Um, in Like I said, I'm going to switch over in a minute and show you what work I'm doing today. All right, so very shortly, all right, we will switch and I'll take you over to the workbench and show you the wing assembly, which is the center section and the two wings, port and starboard. With the Envoy, you build this huge center section, which is very similar to a VC10. You've got this huge center section. More than likely, it would have had a fuel tank in it, and then smaller wings. I mean, when I was a tank rat, I used to go through a hatch in the upper side of the wing, and then crawl all through the ribs to grind off corrosion and then paint lacquer on. I used to wear an air mask and take a light in and all sorts. Yeah. Some people can't do it because of claustrophobia, but for me, it was something that really I found that I was okay with. And then I did that for months, to be honest with you. Would I do that job again? Yeah, because you're sort of left to your own devices and you can very much potter around getting on with your work. And for me, it was a good job. So, like I said, I'll take you over to now where I'm working on the wing today. Okay, we're over at the workbench, workboard. Now, here's the center section. I got a lot of clamps on it today because I'm working on the fairing. I put the first piece on, which lines up with the fuselage, and then got the second piece in, and it'll be sanded to a curve each side. Slight breakage this morning on the main spar there. That will happen. Lots of stresses pulling on it. And as I said in previous videos, you're only as good as your mistakes, all right? But here's the cosmetic strip that I've added. All right, it goes along there. And then what I'm going to do is sand it to suit. All right, a lot of sanding to suit on here. I seem to use that word a lot, but it's good. And that's on both wings, both port and starboard. Now, if you're ever confused about port and starboard, always remember the ship left port. So port is left, all right? Starboard is right, all right? I'll say it again, the ship left port. All right. So port is your left-hand side, but it's quite a fantastic wing assembly there. It's huge. I mean, you stand it up. It's 54 inches in length, and it's quite something. And inside, I've got the retracts. You can see the servo for the retracts there. It needs a little bit of cleaning up. But what I've done, in America you call it popsicles, we call it lollies. All right, so what I've done is you're supposed to use aluminium sheet tags to screw it on. But what I've done is use these ice lolly popsicle sticks, and they pick up on the front of the fuse on forward. And then aft, you've got two there, and then I've got nylon nuts and bolts, and it goes in like a sort of, it fits, a post fits between the two sticks. And then you bring the back up, and then it sits there with a tension on it, which keeps it all nice and firm and in place, all right? So I had to line those up, which was a bit of careful work there, making sure it lined up, but it went well, and I'm quite happy with it. All right, so I've used balsa glue. I mean, what I normally do is use super glued attack and then use a PVA solution, which is PVA mixed with warm water, because it soaks into the wood and gets right into the joints. But this is drying with balsa glue because I wanted something a lot harder. Super glue is all right for tacking. Never build your model entirely with super glue. It's all right to hold something in place, but it's brittle. All right, it doesn't move. Balsa glue is also brittle, but it's got a little bit of movement, and PVA glue has got a very good elasticity to it. So this is going to be coated in PVA as well, all right? Because when I get it flying, I'm still building the around the pole electric pylon. It's in the other room. I'll do a video on that because it has come on. I used 2 motorbike wheel bearings for it. I'll go through that when I do the video, but I just wanted you all to see the wing attached to the center section. What I've done is they're attached with nylon bolts, nylon nuts and bolts. Right, I had a not the easiest job in the world fitting a one wing went as sweet as a nut, but the other, it was real fiddly, sort of fingers and thumbs. I landed up dropping the nylon nuts and bolts on the carpet. Many of you will know this, especially if you build plastic kits. You'll drop a part on the carpet, you'll never find it again. All right, so but I did find them, but it was some days later, because when they fall about 3 foot, a meter out there to people who are into metric, when they fall 3 foot down, they bounce, and when you're in the middle of something, you never find them again. You just don't. And then a few days later you find them. Yeah, so I found all the ones I lost, which was good. All right, so coming along there. All right, work in progress. It's coming along. Let me see if I can get back, show the immensity and the size of this. Yeah, it's the biggest build I've ever done. All right, that's actually longer than the 3 foot RAF launch that I built from ply out in the back room. I'll do a video on that one day. That took me a lot of time because I started it in the 80s, and then 90s after I got made redundant, I was working on shifts and trying to find time to do it. I returned to it in the early noughties, and then finished it off. So it's out in the back room. I also built a cabin cruiser, 3-foot one called Magpie, but I gave that away to someone I know, one of her kids, a little boy, and he gave me a thank you card for it. And she said, his mother said she had never seen him look so pleased with himself. It's really made me happy that I've made something which somebody got a lot of pleasure out of. All right, so like I said, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and until next time.